morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today in the world it's known as the first day of spring. But for us Jews, it's not just the first day of spring, it's Tainus Esther, the fast of Esther, which precedes tonight, the joyous holiday of Purim. And I was thinking to myself, what's the connection between the first day of spring and the fast of Esther? So what is the fast of Esther? So the fast of Esther, we're going to read tonight in the Megillah, and tomorrow morning as well, that when Mordechai told Esther about the plot of Haman to wipe out, to annihilate the Jews, she said, go gather all the Jews and fast for 3 days, and I and my maidens will fast with you, and only then I'll come to the king and I'll risk my life to save the Jews after we prayed and fasted for 3 days. Now, even though these 3 days occurred 11 months before the holiday of Pesach, before the holiday of Purim, they occurred, according to our rabbis, on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of Nisan, which means the actual fast, the 3-day fast of Esther, occurred over Erev Pesach, on the first 2 days of Pesach. But Esther felt that to save the Jews, you were allowed to fast. Normally you don't fast on a holiday, but in this case she felt it was necessary to fast to save the Jews, because it was Pekuach Nefesh, the life of the Jews were in danger. So why are we fasting today if the actual 3-day fast occurred 11 months earlier? And the answer is because the theme of Purim is 2 words. V'nahapachu. Everything was flipped around. Everything that was destined to happen to the Jews happened to the enemies of the Jews. Mordechai was supposed to, Haman prepared a gallows, a tree, 50 cubits almost, to hang, God forbid, Mordechai by the tree. And who was hanged? Haman and his sons were hanged. Everything was turned around, topsy-turvy, v'nahapachu, everything flipped around. And that's the main joy of Purim. Why is Purim the happiest holiday? Because we all know that in life, when something good happens, it's wonderful. But when you thought something terrible was going to happen, and then suddenly something good happened, and there was a complete reversal of events, just when you were fearing the worst, suddenly something amazing, positive happened, that evokes the deepest and the greatest joy, because you were facing terror and fear, and suddenly you have joy and jubilation. So therefore, the theme of Purim is V'nahapachu. So what is the best way to prepare tonight for the happiest day? By fasting. Because by fasting we try to imagine ourselves going through what the Jews went through. Imagine an edict, God forbid, against the entire Jewish world. For those who lived through 67, 73, when the fate of the Jews is hanging in the balance, God forbid. And in one day they were going to be wiped out. And suddenly, from this fear of terror, of God forbid, mass annihilation, they were victorious and watched their enemy fall, and they were saved. Similar to the splitting of the sea when the Egyptians were drowned and they were saved, they sang the Az Yashir. So the way to heighten the joy tonight of the redemption is by going through the pain of experiencing what they experienced, of trying to imagine facing annihilation and then coming to jubilation. And in a way, that's what spring is all about. You know, in the winter you look at the trees, you don't see anything growing, you think everything's dead, and suddenly things start to grow and blossom, and there's a reversal, and suddenly what you thought was dead is suddenly coming to life again. And that's the miracle of Purim. But there's another reason why we fast today. Because there's a question the Rabbi asks. We know we're not allowed to fast on Erev Yontif. Any Erev Yontif, we have to go into the Yontif happy. And we can't go in hungry. So why is this the one exception where you fast right before Yontif? And the Rabbi says that this is a different type of a fast. Why? Because all fasts are sad days. He says this fast has an element of joy, emotional joy. Why? Because the decree against the Jews came because Haman said, Yeshno Amachad, there's one nation that's dispersed amongst your kingdom. He didn't just mean geographically dispersed. He meant that they were disconnected from one another. The Jews weren't unified. And that's why when Esther wants to reverse the decree, she says to Mordechai, Lech kenos, go gather the Jews, unify them. And through that unity and prayer and teshuvah will merit the redemption. And so what Mordechai did, he got the Jews to stand together as one. And when we stand together as one, we can defeat all our enemies. That was the strength of the Jewish people. And therefore, symbolically, this holiday is not just a day of fasting, it's a day of joy. Because remember how the Jews band together as one and helped each other and stood together in unison to defeat our enemy. And whenever we're united as one, as Lincoln said, a divided house falls, right? But when we're united, we stand strong and tall. And that's the story of the Jewish people. Whenever we're united as one, then we defeat our enemies. It's a story told about this religious Jew. He's driving on the highway, and he sees another religious Jew with a yarmulke. His car broke down. So he pulls over to help him. He had a flat tire. When he comes over to help him, he sees that this religious Jew with a yarmulke is wearing a necklace with a cross. He's a little confused. A yarmulke with a necklace with a cross. But he helps him with the flat tire nonetheless. And when he's finished it, do you mind if I ask you a question? He says, if you're Jewish, why are you wearing a cross? He says, oh, I'm not Jewish. He says, you're not Jewish, so why are you wearing a yarmulke? He says, my mother always told me, always keep a yarmulke in your glove compartment. Because if you break down, you just put that on and someone's guaranteed to stop another Jew to help you if they see another person with a yarmulke. So always keep a yarmulke in my glove compartment in case I break down. Everyone knows Jews help each other. They stand together. And so even though we're going through a sad day, a day of fasting, and remembering what the Jews went through, there's a joy knowing that we're united as one, and whenever we're together, our enemies cannot defeat us.